Good afternoon, namaste. How are you doing? Really excited to be here, and for those of you joining us live stream, my name is Reverend Bobby. I'm the senior minister here, and let's welcome our guest artist, Brenda Carsey. So sit back, relax, not too much, okay? Because I know where you go when you relax too much. And let's just have a beautiful day of connection and enjoy the service. Brenda.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves me and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Oh yeah. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. Come together. We come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, every creed that covers, in kinship we unite. Ooh, in honor of the God and each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste about to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of one more. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Yeah.
Thank you, Brenda. So I'd like to invite up Chuck, and he's one of our practitioners. He will bring up the candle and light it, and it will remain lit for the duration of the service. I like to think of this as a symbol of the light that Spirit is in, as, and through all of us. In addition to lighting a candle for the service, we have an affirmation that I'd like to invite you all to say with me. It's on the screen there. So, I am cause to my own world. As my thoughts are, so is my world. I am the face of spirit, releasing itself into form as blessings for myself and for others. Let us pray. It is with gratitude that I welcome us into this holy place, this place of communion, this place of the everlasting abundance and eternal spirit that lives and expresses as each one of us, as all life. I know spirit is absolute wholeness, infinite intelligence, abundance, peace, and so much more. All that is this one life expressing as all that we see and do not yet see, all that we hear, all that we are. I am grateful to know this truth of my life, to know this truth that there is only one infinite, eternal beneficence that has created us out of itself, and it knows us as itself. We are the one. I give thanks for the many blessings that we all enjoy. The music, the beautiful fellowship that we enjoy, the blessing of having a board of trustees to support our community and practitioners and a senior minister and staff ministers who have truly answered the call of Spirit. As we prepare for our service today, I invite you all to just go into the silence, drop just a little bit deeper for these next few moments, closing the outer eyes and opening your inner eyes. I know that all is unfolding for the highest good, always. I say a prayer for those who have been affected by all of the fires around the world, and for those in Haiti who suffered an earthquake, a devastating earthquake. No matter where people are, and no matter what is going on, I continue to have faith and know that all truly is unfolding for the highest good, even when we can't see it. So I give thanks for this time together. Please join me in affirming this prayer by saying, "And so it is."
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. when I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind and hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
Thank you, Brenda. That was beautiful. Okay, my name is Debbie Ann, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees, and we are going to do some announcements. First, we are going to talk about who we are at Namaste. So I'm going to ask you to read along with me. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize that we are one. Namaste. Okay, we are now going to read our mission statement. So I'm going to ask you to read this with me. I learn practical science of mind tools and practice in a loving, connective, and vibrant community to reveal my power and change my life. And what we do is we awaken to a new truth in our lives. We realize how that truth has played out in our lives. We take that new knowledge and transform our lives. And then we repeat this process in our lives in new ways. And our power statements are, we are Namaste, and this stuff works. Okay, every announcement that I'm about to share is on our website for times of service, links to past talks, other information, calendar of events. Everything is on our website. Facebook. Okay, so this Wednesday, August 18th at 7 p.m., Valerie Day, one of our practitioners, is going to host art play. You're invited to join us. Lydia Martin is the facilitator of this event. And creativity is a natural expression of who we are. We're all artists inside. How can we break through resistance to artistic expression and tap into being curious and open and playful as we explore creativity? And it's for everybody, beginners, all levels of art experience. The link to register is on the website, and you register on Eventbrite. Now, when you register, you'll be sent the Zoom link, and there's a list of items that you actually need in preparation for this class, for this fun class that they're doing. So don't wait till the last minute, because you won't have the items that you need, the supplies to do the art play. Okay, next Sunday at 4:30, we have a special guest speaker, Annie Sims, and she will guide us as we explore the 3 levels of awareness from Neil Donald Walsh's seminal book, Conversations with God. Annie was invited by Neil Donald Walsh to develop classes and a book on the study of conversations with God. Do not miss this. It's going to be awesome. Our regional choir is currently on hiatus. We're going to be discussing this more at our September annual meeting. And start your weekdays off with prayer, support, and connection Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Try it out and see how the trajectory of your day can change. All these offerings are available on our website, calendar, our newsletter, Facebook page, all those places. So if you thought you heard something here but you can't remember, you're not sure of the date, or you're not sure when service is, please check those areas so that you don't miss out. Okay. Now, Brenda, we loved that song so much.
Gotta do it again.
I'd like to hear it again.
I think more people
It
need
was
to
just
sing.
so
that's why.
beautiful. Yeah.
We need more people to sing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the sing-along. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Brenda.
So I'm going to do a verse and a chorus again so everyone can sing this time. So verse 1, yeah? In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. One more. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
Thank you, everyone. I have a reading today for you all. And you can keep your eyes closed for this if you like. The reading is by Hafiz. He was the great Sufi master and poet who lived from 1315 to 1390 in Persia. Many of us are familiar with him, and I thought for this service and the spark of inspiration and the idea and the theme this year of this month as a pause for guidance, what a more lovely way than to hear some poetry. So this is titled, "We Have Not Come to Take Prisoners." We have not come here to take prisoners, but to surrender ever more deeply to freedom and joy. We have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. Run, my dear, from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Run like hell, my dear, from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your beautiful heart. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience that stand outside of our house and shout to our reason, oh please, come out and play. For we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. So as those words settle in each of us, I ask you to perhaps go back to a time of play in your life, whether it be in your childhood, on a recent vacation. That time of freedom and lightness and play. Notice how it makes you feel. The joy, perhaps a smile under your mask right now. What a blessing our memories are. I had the pleasure of playing on vacation recently, and it was wonderful. It was marvelous. It was joyous. And after this 1.5 years plus, it really felt good. So whatever sparks your imagination, and however you might be inspired to play, I invite you to take this as a sacred invitation to go out and play. Thank you, namaste.
All right. That was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I thought that it would be fitting for the afternoon service to play an original song of mine called Goat and Bull. And this song is about learning how to compromise and learning how to let go of the stubbornness that I think is in most of us. And the reason being so that we can work together, because we can't really accomplish too much on our own. I think it takes a community to thrive and survive, if you want to say it like that. So that's basically what this song's about. Goat and bull run head to head, pushing their way upstream. Both are willing to compromise, to realize their dreams. You and I must bend before we snap, before we mend. You and I must give before we get, before we forget. Flowing energy guides their way through challenge and joy unknown. All answers unfold inside as they observe one another's growth. You and I must bend before we snap, before we mend. You and I must give before we get, before we forget. Reverend Bobby, everyone.
Your music is very touching. It's very touching, and I always find Brenda's a storyteller. She's definitely a storyteller, and love that about music. Some of the music that affects me the most is when there's a story in the music, and it touches me. So today, my talk is about the imagination. And I'm going to start with this. Matthew Fox, he is an excommunicated priest in the Catholic Church, and he published a book in 1983 called The Original Blessing. For those of you that grew up Christian, this was a new idea, because what it was about was the fact that he said that Christianity should replace the preoccupation with original sin with an openness to wonder. And for most of us that have come out of sort of traditional religion, in a sense, whether mostly Christianity and varying forms of Christianity, this idea of original sin, that somehow we're born sort of in the negative, right? It's like not the score 0-0, it's like -10 or 100, depending on, which tradition you grew up in. And it was, our culture embodied that idea. This idea that pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, that we're not supposed to necessarily help one another, because you're supposed to earn it, actually. You're supposed to earn love, you're supposed to earn a whole slew of things. And so what happened in this, he recognized in this that every participle of creation is imbued with goodness. Every one of them. including you and me and every other being, human and otherwise. This sort of rocked the Christian world, and from that point he went silent for almost 2 years. That's what he was told to do by the Catholic Church, and then he came out and had to decide what he was going to do. So he came out and started to speak. He sort of took what Martin Luther did and said, you know what, I'm going to speak what is my truth. And he may have lost his traditional faith, but he gained himself. And he speaks a lot of that. So for me, I grew up in a tiny town, and I'm going to show you a couple pictures of it because even I hardly can believe it sometimes, the experience that I had, because it was so non-traditional. Up on the upper left-hand side, what you're seeing is there was a train that used to run into town. It was under 1,000 people. The town is 60 miles east of Indio and 60 miles west of Blythe. And for those of you, Julie, you went through there, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. In fact, Desert Center was the stopover point. It's the halfway point. In fact, the town just got sold, by the way, for something like $3 million. And so there's going to be a truck stop there, which is really going to freak everyone out that grew up with me, because that was kind of a mark for us. So the town is situated in Riverside County. You see up on the left-hand side, it's a very aerial view of the town, and that's actually my street in there. When you can find your own street in an aerial that's only a portion, you know your town is small, right? The next picture shows the industry of the town. So my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather worked in an iron ore mine. Kaiser Steel owned the town, and Kaiser Steel went bankrupt in 1984, and the entire town was closed. So we had to leave. And everyone left, and my family, we were actually there the last night that you could be there, which was a little freaky, to say the least. Now, that's the end of Eagle Mountain, but this is what I carry with me from the town of Eagle Mountain. If you could go to the next slide, Terry. Go to I think, there it is. So the upper right is me as a teenager, which, no one ever wants to show this photo. I'm not born with curly hair, by the way, if you can tell. But, this was the 80s, so big hair was kind of the thing, right? And it was my senior year, so I was looking cool for the yearbook. And maybe that was cool in that year. But the next picture is my youngest brother, Aaron, and when I think of him he was 13 years younger than me, and he was just the sweetest, most imaginative kid. And this photo reminds me of even my own childhood and how I felt often, which is even in my family where there were lots of challenges, there were certainly sweet moments. And the next picture is me and my 2 siblings. I'm the one on the left with the hat. I was probably about 4 or 5 there. And the reason I love this photo, and this is sort of the basis of this, the photo next to that are my nieces, who just look so sweet and just full of wonder. But that picture of me right there, around that time, my dad decided to build a swing on the side yard of our home. And on the side of our home there was no homes next to us, so the next to us was desert. So it was just, the desert was our play yard. I mean, we had room, and it was safe, and we found everything to be part of our playground. We used whatever was around us to spark our imagination, and this swing that he built, he just reminded me of this week. So the swing itself was these pipe that he welded together, and it was about 10 feet tall, which that in itself should be a mistake for 5- and 6-year-olds, right? It's like the idea of lawn darts, remember those? People got killed by those, but they were our favorite toys. So this swing is 10 feet tall, and my dad comes home from work one day, and we're on the swing, and we are swinging. There were oleanders that were just that height, if not taller, and he could see us above the oleanders in the swing. I mean, we were basically probably, it looked, to some extent, breaking the laws of gravity. And as he was watching that, no parent lets their kids do this today. I mean, I don't know if a parent does unless they're completely unengaged, right? So he saw us swinging, and we were trying to, I'm sure, swing completely around. I forgot about that swing, and he was reminding me about that swing, and he was saying, you kids took everything and made everything your world of imagination. Do you remember that for yourselves? Everything was something to be in this imaginative world, and we used it. Even, which is so interesting, because even when things were so challenging, through play, we rose above anything that was in our experience that was of any cause of concern. When my parents would argue, we would run down to the baseball field that was not far from our house and create a new world where we couldn't hear what was going on at home, and we would forget about it. Through that amazing world of imagination, we were able to create a world that was completely separate from all the adults that were way too serious, right? And now look at all of you. So serious. In a pandemic, by the way. So serious. And I found myself, thinking about that time when I was talking to my dad, and I found that I had forgotten that all the wonderful things about that time as well. That I grew up in a situation where we didn't lock doors. We left the keys in the car, for goodness sake. My mother's wallet was left in the car and it was unlocked. Nobody took it. They probably didn't want to take the debt with it too, I'm guessing, but. We didn't look at life as children at what wasn't working. We didn't look at life as what we didn't like necessarily. It didn't work for us. But what we did do is we looked at the time that we were outdoors and playing. That was what fueled our imagination, was, rubber band guns my dad made. The largest earth movers were in our hometown, and my dad would bring home the inner tube from the dump trucks that were so large it took an elevator to go to the top. And here we were in our front yard jumping on this inner tube, back and forth. So freaking dangerous. I'm not even sure how we didn't break a neck, right? But we could bounce off things and step right up. We broke arms, we had stitches. Every appliance that was delivered, the box was our playhouse, right? When my mother got a new dryer, it was like the best thing ever, because the box became some kind of amazing play world. We had a slip and slide that today you can't play with because someone will break a neck, I kind of agree with it. Sometimes we become so concerned with what's wrong, which is really easy to do right now, that we forget that the universe is infinite, that the possibilities are infinite, and we're only focused on the one thing that I'm afraid of, and we lose that sense of wonder. Terry, go to the next slide for us. Ernest Holmes says, to assert our individuality is to rise above the law of averages into that more highly specialized use of the law. When I'm talking about the law, and stop reading and look right here, because I know you want to do it. Everybody wants to do that, right? The law is a spiritual principle by which whatever I truly believe drops into form. So if we collectively believe it, look what drops into form. That's the simple explanation. So to assert our individuality is to rise above the law of averages. You get where I'm going? Into that more highly specialized use of the law which brings freedom rather than bondage, joy in the place of grief, and wholeness instead of sickness. We cannot do this unless we're first willing to judge not according to appearances. Every time something shows in my life, someone shows up in my life, and I judge them, guess what I've done? I'm creating more of the same. I'm creating more of the same. The law is impersonal. It actually doesn't care. In judging not according to appearances, we are impressing the law with a new idea of ourselves, a less limited idea, and we're learning to think independently of any existing circumstance. Any circumstance, by the way, any circumstance, it's your judgment of the circumstance. There's where the rub is. When I was sitting there talking to my dad about this, I remembered and I realized that I have stopped remembering what an amazing childhood in some respects I had. I did. And then there was all this other stuff, but this stuff is where we focus our attention on. This is where we focus that what's happened, what had happened in the past, what was, still has power over us because we give it power. We don't want to let go of that story because somehow there's power in that story. And by the way, there is power in that story when I'm the victim. But the power in the story is that I just keep putting myself as the victim. So we are beings with the gift of imagination, by the way. You know, as much as I have taught our dogs, Berkeley and Nala, how to imagine what it would be, they don't imagine much. Although I wonder, because sometimes when Berkeley's playing with her toy, I wonder if she's playing as if it's alive, as if something. Now, that's me. But according to studies, as humans, we are the only beings that have an imagination. We are the only beings that create the story. We are the only beings that can change the story. So, Brene Brown says the only unique contribution in this world by us is born in creativity. And that is where we think that somehow I'm not good enough or whatever I bring isn't important. When I think about my purpose, it's not what I do as vocation. It's not what I do even in service to Namaste. It's how I am. How am I doing it? And in that is where creativity lies. In that opportunity. We lose our ability through time and circumstance. We lose that ability of wonder through time and circumstance about what we believe to be true. We have placed power in time and circumstance. So, defeat. What defeats our imagination? Because our imagination is where Ernest Holmes says that's where creativity lies. That's where we can really make a difference in our own lives and in the world. That's where we can change what we don't like. It is in our imagination. For everything that exists today, every scientific invention, whatever it is, started in imagination. Started from a place of imagination. So what defeats imagination? Comparison. When I compare myself to others. When I compare others to others. Not showing up. Just not showing up. Quitting, giving up. Absolutely. Thinking it has to be perfect. That's my favorite. For varying personal reasons. Thinking it has to be perfect. And in my idea, what is perfect, I am defeated already from even going into that place of imagination. Feelings of inadequacy, believing because you were told that you weren't good enough, and you believe it. That's a good one, and I imagine most carry. Complaining. Complaining. When I'm complaining, I'm in the past. When I'm complaining, I'm believing some untruth. Not judging my process. I think I wrote that wrong. I would say judging my process. That there's a time requirement. So, for example, I'm too young, so I haven't had enough time. I'm too old, and it's taken too long. and anything in between. That somehow there's an appropriate time in which it must happen. Fear of failure, so we don't start at all, shame, or just looking at what's wrong. If I show up in the world and the only thing I ever say is what's wrong with it, I'm never going to find what's right. So what feeds our imagination? And there's one thing that feeds our imagination. It's a 4-letter word and it starts with L. Somebody want to guess? 4-letter word starts with a big L. Thank you. Who said that? Just raise your hand. Thank you, Denise. Just raise your hand. Thomas More says, a general principle we can take from Freud is that love sparks the imagination. Love sparks the imagination into extraordinary activity. Being in love is like being in imagination. The literal concerns of everyday life practically disappear in the rush of love's daydreams. When I am in love, whatever it is, my imagination flourishes. When I'm not in love, when I fall out of love, and it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter. But love is the fuel, it is the container, it is all there is, as Brenda so beautifully spoke with that song, there's only love. And if I choose to create from something else, it is my choice. So what feeds imagination besides love? Mindfulness. Mindfulness being present, being conscious in the moment of what I'm doing, not only to myself, but what am I doing to another? When I'm in that place, imagination cannot exist. It cannot exist with a hypercritical mind. Courage. Imagination takes courage. It takes courage to believe I'm enough. It takes courage to believe that I can do this. It takes courage just to even have the idea and let it just kind of sit there without judging it. Desire. Motivation, willingness, openness. Those things are that feed that imagination that is so uniquely and beautifully us. And every one of us have been given a gift of imagination in a unique way. And if we hold that back, then what's missing in the world right now? How many of you wonder what's missing in the world right now? It's us. All of us. All of us living in wonder. And I have to say this too, is what's really important about folks that have lived a really, really long time, for me, is this very simple thing. So I'm going to play a video for you. When you watch the Olympics, we're so inspired for different reasons. I watched the women's court volleyball and I just saw a team play together like they love one another, like I have never seen a team. I saw beach volleyball, the men's Norway, who said they shared everything about what they do. Come watch us. We have nothing to hide. The women that ran. We saw, did you watch the marathoner, the woman from the U.S., Wisconsin, who had only run 3 marathons in her life and showed up and came out with a bronze? Who does that? We do. We do. We all do. We all do. And we do it because we show up. We do it because there's love in what we do. We have compassion for one another and empathy. And we know that we're all one. Last slide, Terry. Next one. This is Julian of Norwich. I'm reading her book right now, and she lived during the bubonic plague, and she was a mystic. And she said this in the middle of the bubonic plague when 50% of Europe was decimated. And she said this in that moment, which is, all will be well, all will be well. and every kind of thing shall be well. So I just know right here and right now that all is God and all is love. And as we come together in this place that we call Namaste, which is, as each one of us come forward, it is to see the face of God in everything. We know that here, so I'm just going to anchor in that belief that love is all there is, which means love is everyone in this room, and love is me. So I just call this time that we've spent together good and very good, and allow the wonder that is life, the wonder that has been a gift to each one of us. Let us allow that wonder to be reborn, and let us create a world that works for everyone. Let us love one another. Let us have compassion with one another. And let us see that the other is just me. And accept that good, that very goodness, knowing that all is well, all is going to be well, and everything is well. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for coming today. And I'll turn it back over to Brenda Carsey.
Hey, you, why your eyes so misty blue? You know it's a beautiful day outside. You gotta get up, jump on the ride. Hey, you, don't you know the sun is shining? And though you are inside whining, I got a secret to share with you. You know you better step outside and express yourself. You just better step outside and express yourself. Gaze into that mirror, you can't see through to the other side. Oh, as for me, seeing through is what I do. With a pen in hand and a mic and stand, I'll change the world with you. But first we better step outside and express ourselves. You just better step outside and express yourself. There's so much to do if you look around, baby, baby. Save this world and come beneath my music. better step outside and express yourself. There's so much to do if you look around, baby, baby.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to say really quick that the line of "it takes courage to have imagination" is like coming home with me today. That was awesome.
Did it?
I was like, oh my gosh, it does.
It does. It does take courage to have
It's
it.
scary. It's
It
scary to think
is.
outside of the box, but it's liberating and like fulfilling too.
Yeah, and I imagine to know that it takes courage, there's like a little bit of, oh yeah. Oh yeah. That feeling I'm having is normal,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Right. Let's give a hand for Brenda. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
So it is the time of our conscious giving, and so I'm just going to ask each one of you to think of something about Namaste that you have such gratitude for. And the reason I say that too today is because last night at our house we had a bunch of Namasters at our home, and I am still sort of reveling in the love and connection that has been so absent for a while, at least that kind. Acknowledging that it's important to do that, but what a beautiful evening. What an absolutely beautiful evening. So I want to thank all of you for coming and joining us. It was really sweet. So think of that one thing about Namaste that just, if you've been with Namaste for years, what's the one thing? And if you're just new to Namaste, what's the one thing? And if you don't know, pick something you want from Namaste, you would like to receive or give that's part of Namaste. So this continued, for me, it's just connection. And it's that love and community and that support for the journey. And that knowing that I'm seen for my journey. That it's recognized. I'm having the same journey as you, Gail, and Marilee, and Rob, and Julie, and Lori, and Sean, and everyone in the room. We're all having this journey. It may have a little bit different flavor to it, but it's the same journey. And that revelation, that recognition of the truth of who we are. So as we give today in that conscious giving, let us just bless that. So take your gift and place it on your heart. And if we could just have the affirmation up. And I'm just gonna trying to find it. There it is. So if you'll just read this with me. The abundance of all good surrounds me and operates through me. I accept in faith God's plenty as mine and of Namaste. I accept it with joy and I use it with wisdom as the inlet and outlet to all that God is. I affirm this is true, and so it is. So we're going to do our benediction, and then we're going to do our closing song with the amazing Brenda. Love when you come and visit.
It's so nice to be here.
We really enjoy having you.
Oh, I enjoy being here. I really do.
Good.
I don't get out that much anymore either.
You don't? I think that might be the most common thing I've heard lately. So let us say this, and let us say this with such gratitude, because we are life, right? Are we not? Yes. So say this with me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. Now, I always stop you because I want to make sure you know what you're saying. There's only one gift that we're given, and what we do with it is up to us. So what is this thing that's happening through me right now? It is this thing called life. Where is it? Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I am, and life is all that we are. What am I going to do with it? I accept it. I am it. I share it with all, just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Now, the most powerful spiritual practice on the planet is this next statement. So say it with me as if you actually believe that. You ready? Thank you, life. And so it is. So let us all stand and join in singing our closing song.
Getting comfy.
Thank you so much, Brenda. What a joy. So I just want to thank some folks before we take off here, besides the amazing Brenda Carsey, seriously on that one. Candace Stein, who was our practitioner on the platform. Chuck Spencer's been holding vigil in our minister support today. Andrew, just stick your hand out there, Andrew, on sound. Terry Anderson is hiding over here. Thank you, Terry. Debbie Ann Vokes is our board of trustee. And I know that Julie Geno is in the back. Thank you. Welcome, team. So as usual, I want you to remind you of one important thing to remember. Have a great week.